Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, rocking and rolling and off to another edition of Kelly and Company. On today's program, for the first few years of Kelly and Company, Mondays were known for back-to-back serious content. Two people who handled that for us, Ron Malice and Danielle McLaughlin. And we're going to be discussing their segments of Know Your Rights and All About Your Money and so much more shortly. Also today, from brown sugar obsessions to mushroom mains, we're dishing out the top food trends heating up across Canada with culinary expert Mary Mammoliti. I know we're all about the maple syrup in this country, but brown sugar and mushroom, I don't think I'm ready to combine those two yet.
This is Kelly and Company.
Kelly MacDonald here, and Nazreen Abdel-Majid also joining me here on the program as we rock and roll our way into the second last show. You can find me on Twitter at AMI Kelly Mac. And Nazreen, we've got some messages from people. We'd love to get more contact from people out there as the show fades into the past in not too long from now. How you feeling? It's kind of a bittersweet thing for you. You started on the show in October, and here we are getting ready to round it off.
It is because, I started in October, but I got so used to it, so comfortable with the show and the team, and it just felt natural to me because this is where I started with Kelly and Company back in the day as an intern. So being back on the show while it's ending is like a blessing, even though, as you mentioned, it is bittersweet, but it's also a blessing that I get to kind of be there for you guys when it's ending off. But we appreciate everybody's love and support on social media. That's always nice to see.
When you started, especially interning, was this kind of like when you jumped in here and we want you to do this? And I know we'll talk more about this kind of thing tomorrow on the final show, but I am curious, is it kind of what expectation you had, or was this like, what am I doing? What are all these topics? What is this show like? But wow. Or were you just too overwhelmed with, yes, Matt, yeah, I'll do that. Yes. Oh, do it all now.
I think Matt can agree. Yeah, it was more of like, yes, Matt, what's next? What can I do? And then he'll just be like, okay, you produce the show. Oh, you tech the show this time. And it was just so overwhelming. But the adrenaline, I miss the live show adrenaline. It was just so much fun, but it was also stressful. Another bittersweet moment.
It was kind of great though, because when you got in here doing co-hosting, and what you said to me is, I really want to learn how to host and take that all on. Yeah. And unfortunately, a less time than we probably needed to get you to where you would have felt comfortable hosting a show on your own. But you've been handling intros and extras and dealing with guests and stuff like that, and bringing some great social media stuff to talk about and get into, as we'll do in a little bit too on the show. But congratulations on that. And since I'm speaking of that stuff, would you mind introing our first guest today?
Absolutely. If you are looking for fun in the sun that doesn't include a sandy beach, think no further than the amazing summer concert series that are being presented all over Canada, and some with really big headlines. Amy Amantea, arts and culture contributor, gives us the main stage features of some of the biggest exhibitions in Canada with nightly summer concerts. Amy, what makes these summer concert series so much fun to attend?
That's a great question, Nazreen. I love summer concerts. Some of the things that make them really exciting to attend are the fact that you are typically outside, right? You're out in the world, enjoying live music. You get to dance. You get the freedom of just moving your body the way you want to. They have lots of diverse activities. So not just the concerts, but there are also lots of other things that are going on. There's a lot of time spending with community. I think, people just really love the atmosphere of these kinds of things. And there's a lot of really great headliners that come to these types of summer concerts. And typically, they're quite affordable compared to, going to see a big name at a one big headliner, sort of in a big 70,000 plus, arena kind of space. Yeah. So yeah, you could get some really big names, or some really cool, like local Canadian artists who may be totally new on your radar.
Mm. What are the biggest events across Canada, and what should people bring?
Canada often has, across the country, we have exhibitions, right? So the PNE in Vancouver, the Pacific National Exhibition, the CNE in Toronto. Those are the kinds of outdoor summer concert series that every night for 2 weeks or every night for the duration of the exhibition, there are concerts that are happening, one after the other, after the other, after the other. So it makes it kind of exciting to check out the lineups of those particular concerts. I would suggest, though, since they're outdoor, like, first of all, don't forget your tickets. Don't forget your tickets.
Right.
I've fallen into that trap once or twice, and it's disappointing. We'll just say it's disappointing. So don't forget your tickets.
Did they take pity on you and let you in?
No.
No.
They did not. No.
If it were Nazreen at the door, she certainly would have. She would have said, "Oh, well, I believe you had tickets." Right, Niz?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say if it hadn't been a sold out concert, then it would have been just fine. But, silly me, I had to go eat Carnival Eats instead. So it wasn't a bad gig. And, like hats and sunglasses and sunscreen and refillable water bottles. Don't try and be tricky and put in something alcoholic in your water bottle because they'll catch you. They're always looking for stuff like that. But yeah, just bring the stuff that you would bring to any outdoor event that you're going to be at for long periods of time. Rain poncho is also a really good one. They fold up small and it's kind of nice to have just in case, especially in Vancouver, but just in case it rains.
Let's talk about the Whistler Olympic Plaza for a second, because I'm curious to know whether it's rain or shine, it would be held at that plaza and it wouldn't matter. The concert wouldn't be canceled if it starts raining. How do you feel about that? Do you like outdoor events more than indoor?
I think it depends on what the event is. There are some events that I love indoor and some events that I love outdoor. So really for me just depends on what the event is. I remember one year here in Vancouver, we're talking 20 years ago, I saw the Bare Naked Ladies when they were still all one band with Stephen Page. And we were on this in Whistler on the side of the mountain, sitting on the grass on hay barrels to this outdoor concert. And it was like one of the best things I had ever experienced. And that's probably how I got the bug for the outdoor sort of concert thing. But you could lie there under the stars. Again, bring a blanket, bring something warm because it gets chilly. But this year up in Whistler, it's rain or shine. So concerts are happening nightly during the run of the Whistler concert series, and they start at about 6:30. They usually open with some kind of DJ that should pull at your heartstrings there, Nazreen. Yes. And then they run till about 9 o'clock at night. So they're considered to be kind of family friendly because they don't run super late. And Chantal Kreviatsik is one of the feature headliners. So if you haven't seen Chantal in a while, she's a pretty big name to see at a concert series. So yep, rain or shine throughout August and September. It's pretty cool stuff.
That's amazing.
Or sorry, July and August.
That's really amazing. And like you say, rain or shine doesn't matter. Okay, Aim, what else musically should we look at this summer?
Yeah. If you're in the Vancouver area, I would check out the PNE, the Pacific National Exhibition, which runs for a 2-week period, August 16th to September the 1st here in Vancouver. While you're there, you might want to try a deep fried Mars bar. I would pass on the deep fried butter because who needs more deep fried butter? But these concerts, again, we're talking about nightly concerts, long lineups of really great folks. This year, they're doing a lot of lineups that feature a mix of pop and rock and hip hop and soul and reggae and all sorts of different genres. So there's something for everybody starting at 7:30 at night in the outdoor amphitheater. And your $59 ticket also includes a ticket to the fair. So you get rides and access to all the other fair stuff that's happening at the PNE. So this year I'm hoping to catch the Counting Crows, which was one of my favorites. Flo Rider's going to make an appearance, Meghan Trainor, Tom Cochrane, Gypsy Kings, right? Leonard Skinner. There are a ton of names that we recognize every year at the PNE. Every year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because years ago when I was a kid, I remember hearing the lineup always at the old C&E grounds, and then they had the old exhibition stadium in there, and they would get huge concerts at the Toronto exhibition, and I mean like Genesis, but you'd get multiple. Like I look at this lineup, like, wow. What an impressive lineup for a concert series at a well, what do they like to call them? A county fair, even though they're a little bigger than that, a big exhibition fair kind of like this. And that's impressive. So I say fedoras off to those guys because, you know, you're bringing in some nice groups and they have a pretty decent venue there to put them on at, don't they?
They do indeed. And they are actually building a new amphitheater in this space. So in probably by next year, I would imagine. But, you know, coming up in the future for future concerts, there will be a new sort of outdoor amphitheater. But I think a little bit more snazzy, a little bit more comfortable, holds more people, that kind of thing. So and that's just a tribute to how fantastic and how popular these concert series are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I think that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I love that there are big headlines, but at the same time, there's so many local Canadian artists that are featured. Maybe starting, what do they call them? The starters in a show where they
the show openers, right? The openers.
Yeah, show openers, exactly. It gives them an opportunity to, you know, put their brand out in the open.
But do they have another stage? I wonder, Amy, if they have another place where those artists get more of a chance, whether it's through the day, through the evenings, you know, to perform as well. I know some, exhibitions like this, fairs have, you know, that other stage that would be for all the locals. They get to come in and perform. Is there anything like that there?
As far as I know, the PNE doesn't have more than one stage. It's really their, it's really just their feature sort of, Coliseum type amphitheater type stage. It's, you know, it's a traveling exhibition, as many are, right? That just comes for 2 weeks. So
Niz, guilty pleasure. Would you have the deep fried Mars bar, deep fried pickle, or if at all, would you worry about that deep fried butter? Which one do you think would appeal to your taste?
I would be worried about the deep fried butter, not my cup of tea. I feel like that would be heavy. I've tried a bite of deep fried Mars bar. It was so good. I've tried a bite of it at an all-you-can-eat sushi spot, and that was one of their desserts. It was so good, but again, a bit heavy. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I would try the deep fried pickles like one time, maybe a bite of it just for the experience because everybody hypes it up, especially at the CNE.
I don't like them.
I feel like, doesn't it sound heavy to you, or is it a weird mix? It's a weird mix.
Well, to me, they're all like, it's a weird mix to a degree. Pickles, I like the concept of the deep fried pickles. I just can't tolerate them. The Mars bar, I don't like Mars bars at all, really. So I don't think I'd go down that road. No way. Yeah, I don't like the inside at all.
I love the chocolate. Inside.
I know lots of people do, and I just
butter.
No. Yeah.
The deep fried butter, that sounds insane and very heavy and very fattening, not gonna lie.
Well,
so,
Amy has the sense here about not bothering with it, but Amy? I think it would be the one aim I would try.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how they deep fry the butter. I guess they have to like bread it in something.
Yes,
because wouldn't butter just melt when you put it in a deep fryer? You know, my favorite thing at these fairs is the little nitrogen ice cream. Have you ever tried those? I think they're called Dippin' Dots.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. I didn't know.
The little Dippin' Dots?
Yeah. You'd have to find some way to hold the butter together. But for me, I think I totally would be into at least trying it. Aim, can we move on to Calgary so we don't run out of time? What's going on there?
Absolutely. Let's jump into the Calgary Stampede. We're talking about grandstand shows, rodeo, 2 weeks in July. So the 4th to the 13th in July. Some of the best fun you'll ever have in the concert series. The big name this year is Shania Twain. And she's at the Marquee Saddle Dome. She's headlining there. So get your tickets early. But also, if you just don't want to see concerts, like I said, there's a whole bunch of rides and rodeo stuff and a whole bunch of things that you can experience while you're at the Stampede. And one of my favorite places to go is a bar called Cowboys. They always have fun stuff happening during the Calgary Stampede. So I would check that one out for sure.
Okay, and now it's really kind of cool with the admission, right? Because you also get the park admission if you're going to a show. Is that right?
Yeah, you can buy these passes. So you get park admission, which would get you access to all the rides and some of the events. Some of them you have to pay extra for. But some of these tickets, you can actually get parking with them, which if you're going to the Stampede, that's kind of the hardest thing to get is parking. And as a kid, when I lived in Calgary, people used to rent out their front lawns for you to park for the day.
Yes.
Wow.
They've done that in London too for the Western Fair. Ontario winery. You want to touch on that quickly before we roll out?
Yeah, sure. If you got a chance and you're in the Niagara area in Ontario, the Jackson Triggs Winery concerts are happening this summer. And again, there are acts sort of every night of the week that it's going on. Sam Roberts' band is going to be there. The Strumbellas, Stars, the Trues. So there's a whole lineup. And if you missed Chantal Kreviatsuk in Vancouver, you can see her in Ontario. So she's making her way around, friends.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy. This is great.
I hope you get out to see some summer concerts and don't forget your sunscreen.
I can't wait. Grab your friends and don't forget your tickets. Checking out the summer concerts are just part of the fun. These exhibitions and fairs offer a whole bunch more to explore. And I bet Amy is going to dance like no one is watching and hang out at the mosh pit. Amy, thank you for the wonderful arts contributions and recommendations you've brought to us over the last few months.
And it's that kind of thing today, with us with the show, folks. Saying bye to folks is just absolutely zero fun, I will tell you. But thinking of the memories and the wonderful content like what Amy's brought to the show has been absolutely beautiful. I want to talk, Nazreen, a little bit about something here that Matt Agnew brought to our attention. We're going to talk a little bit about who do we trust, a biased human or a black box, meaning a computer. On June 12th, Minister Patty Hajdu addressed the UN, highlighting Canada's national AI standard in innovation and leadership and disability inclusion. But the standard is entirely voluntary and nearly a year old. AI is already creeping into systems like employment insurance, and while it's not clear whether AI will be a part of the application processing for the Canadian disability benefit that's rolling out, the lack of concrete standards and enforcement around AI solutions in the public sector raises a lot of concerns about transparency and fairness when it comes to making decisions like benefit eligibility. Conversation starters that we're going to have here, I've got some ideas here that Matt wants us to kind of flush out, and we know AI is used for employment insurance. Granted, it's used in a limited scope, reviewing just one field of the application, and the detailed algorithm report was done on it. But are you comfortable, Niz, of AI making that kind of eligibility decision when it's not really able to make an answer as to how come it's made the decision as to a person's eligibility?
I would not be comfortable. I need transparency. I think everybody can agree that if someone is denied benefits, we deserve a clear explanation, not a decision that just came from a black box.
Yep. Yeah, if you ask any question, do you want to know something? It's the most frustrating thing in the world. And let's be fair, my question is going to pertain to me. It's going to be on my circumstance. This thing doesn't know all of my circumstances. Yeah, all right. There are certain areas I understand saying, hey, let's see if this person qualifies. But there's absolutely no way when bing, I don't, why, whatever it takes, I should be able to get hold of someone right away who's able to tell me how come. If you want to cut down on yes, no, okay, let's call in. But so many other people, zoom, pass through, save time. Okay. But if someone's going to have a question, you got to have people available to be able to respond to that. And I don't know if in future how we can cut that down, how the interaction we're doing with Copilot and everything like that to ask a question and get an answer will be flushed out. I think we all know it will be, to a scary degree. But yeah, as of now, and I've had it happen, you know, I've tried for lines of credit and things like that, been turned down because on the level of, hey, this is what's on top. This doesn't look like this fellow could afford to pay off this if he's taking money from it. But I could answer questions, sit down with a bank manager and have that thing, you know, in my grasp. Not have been, well, no, you don't even get to talk to someone because you don't qualify. Would you rather have your benefits decided by AI with imperfect data, or a human with an unconscious bias and plans for the weekend? I'm in a hurry.
Oh, I feel like this is a tough one because it
Loaded.
feels like, yeah, it's a lose-lose situation because
Yeah.
humans, you know, can come with biases, but at least you can have a conversation with them, ask questions, understand their reasoning. AI, on the other hand, may be faster, so that's a pro. It's you know, the applications are done faster, but if it's using maybe an incomplete data of some sort, it can be flawed. So, and you can't ask questions. You can't ask the reasoning. There's some, you know, like it should be, I don't know. I feel like we need a strong oversight. Again, transparency is like very important. How about you?
Well, I think for me, when I think of people in our own distracted time, and I know this is where we're saying we can cut back on that. If AI is handling, it's not going to be distracted. AI is going to go by the facts. AI isn't going to be prejudice. And I still hold out on that one because AI is still created by humans. It's still pulling data from human beings, and you certainly can put in your own biases there if you want. Or even it's doing its calculations, can find biases based on everything else it's pulling up, because these things are so powerful, and some obscure little note could influence the algorithm. So that's kind of where I have a bit of a problem with that. But I mean, after all, again, I go back to if somebody, or including AI, can go over it again and maybe flag and show me where, because, you know, you've sat there, done things online and said, where am I going wrong here? It says I'm doing something wrong. Where the heck is it? And you go crazy trying to find it. If we can simplify, then maybe I would have more of that trust. But it is unfortunate to stop and say, yeah, that is the big, huge flaw with human beings. And would we rather deal with the algorithms flaws, which may be a lot more dependable than a human? It's kind of a scary thing to think about, really.
It is.
So finally, do you think AI, if we worked on it, took into account some of the things that we're talking about, do you think it eventually could be fairer than a human system, or is it just too risky of a bet that you're not willing to go for?
Yeah. I think the if is very capitalized here. If they work on it, if fairness is their first goal, that's built in. So I think that's really risky, but it could be if they plan on making fairness a priority.
Okay. All right. Well, appreciate you engaging in that. Thanks, Matt, for putting that together. I think we'll probably do some more with that down the road on AMI Audio, I'm sure, because I think this is going to stick with us and be in our lives. Well, this show will probably not be in your lives on a brand new day-to-day basis after the 27th of June. We will be thanking all of you. We will be talking about the past as we roll out our closing off of Kelly and Company and talking about the live show era at AMI. We've had a great time doing it. And part of that's been inviting people back to the show to talk about their experiences and remind some of you who may have been with the show since the beginning or part of the live show era. For the first few years of Kelly and Company, Mondays were known for back-to-back serious content. Two people who contributed to that, those talks alone, were Ron Malice and Danielle McLaughlin. Ron, he was here with Money Talks, and Danielle with Know Your Rights. Ron, Danielle, welcome back to the program. Glad to have you guys.
Hello.
Well, it's lovely to be here again. All of our good old friends.
Oh, you betcha. And one of the things I remember the most is Ramya starting out, coming out of school and getting involved with the show, and the anxiousness she felt getting the two segments back to back. So I think that's kind of what inspired this kind of question. I mean, it was something for her. Oh my gosh, I don't know what this is a little heavier than I'm used to. But I have to say, for the two of you, you both came into the show with no former training to do this kind of thing. And when I say that, Danielle, I do recall with Civil Liberties, you were doing presentations. So that's as formal as it got for you, though, wasn't it?
Well, I was in schools, faculties of education. Public speaking was something I was doing very regularly, but not on live media. So that was new. And I do recall with both horror and great fondness a particular training session that we had with Matt and you and Ramya and where it seemed that everything was going wrong. And I remember running into the tech studio from where we were, thinking that, oh my God, everything's falling apart. It was really it was a joke, but not so much, because we really learned what to do and how to follow protocol. And it was brilliant, actually, and it made me feel a lot more comfortable being on live media. It was great fun, I'll tell you. But I miss the Know Your Rights segments, because let's face it, these days there's still rather a lot to talk about.
Right?
Oh
No,
my
I
gosh,
agree.
so many openings. And I remember a time when you thought Matt was rigging up a test for you when you were co-hosting,
Yes.
because we had yourself, Brock and Margaret as our co-hosts on the show that we had trained. And I remember forever Matt no, Danielle, that was truly a problem. That was something. Ron, your formal training really was just sitting talking with passion about money.
Well, actually, I used to be a teacher too, and I've done lots of public speaking. All right, so
So
I
he was
I didn't share everything about myself with you.
No, because we had to
Yeah.
have the credibility is that he knew money. That's what it was. He was trying to fool us. Oh, I do know what I'm talking about. You're a teacher
But
of.
my God, was I nervous the first time, particularly, and the first few times after that too. Oh my God, I wasn't expecting to be that nervous, but I was, and I remember talking like this and
Oh, yeah.
going, oh Lord, oh Lord. But that
I
changed.
think
Did you
everyone
listen
could
to
relate
yourself?
to that. Yeah. Oh,
Did you listen to
I
yourself back and was it painful, or did you take comments from people in your world? Wow, you sounded stiff. Oh, were you talking slow?
No, there was only so much pain that I was willing to endure.
oh my
So
God, Ron.
I
No,
knew
for
it
real.
wasn't hard to know right from the beginning. It was like, okay, okay, that was different. Yep, that wasn't me.
I can
Right.
understand that. When I first started, they
Yeah.
kept telling me, Nasreen, just listen back to your recordings. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. It's so painful to listen back. We explained to each of you that talking money in Ron's case and Wright and Danielle's was two of the most important things we felt the disabled audience need access to. Were we right?
Well, I think so. I think
Yeah, me
that
too.
in the later years, when I was able to bring guests on, and many of them are quite memorable, but David Lepofsky certainly stands out as somebody who spoke specifically to the rights of people living with disabilities. I know that he felt that this was an audience that needed to be spoken to very regularly and needed to be engaged in protest. How do you
Mhm.
complain when your rights are being taken away, when you and how do you know which rights you have? I still think that the disability community needs to be very alert to the fact that they can be taken advantage of. And if you know your rights, then you're more aware of the problems that can be encountered. I'm
Mhm.
still listening to David Lepofsky all the time myself, and things aren't getting one whole lot better. But I'm hopeful that there's still a venue and a way that people can be learning about their rights as they change on a daily, weekly basis in Canada and certainly in the United States.
Mhm.
At the moment, I'm very concerned about both the Ontario and the federal government really making a mess with both Bill 5s, the Bill C5 and Bill 5. They're going to run roughshod over the requirements to consult with the disability community as well as the Indigenous community,
Mm.
and making new builds accessible. So, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about the environment. We'll just get buildings built. Well, that's all very well and good. And yes, we do need to have buildings built for sure, and we need housing. But you cannot forget the fact that there will be, by virtue of excluding the disability community, a serious
Mhm.
problem as we move down the road. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it remains a very important area for the disability community to pay attention to.
And
Mm.
finances, Ron, for you, especially coming on the show and dedicating yourself so much to that market, especially as we rolled out more and more information and really talked about it a lot, the ODSP. How did you feel when we said, hey, this we feel is important? Did you to yourself say, yeah, for sure, guys?
Well, I built a whole career out of it. It's not like this specialization is a small niche part of my practice. It is my practice. It's my entire business. And I don't think I would be a financial advisor if I didn't have this specialization, or unless there was some other specialization. I'm not much of a generalist financial advisor. I don't think I would have survived that way for a whole bunch of reasons. But the reality is that because I kind of got licensed on a lark. I used to do something very different than what I'm doing now, and I thought I never want to be a financial advisor full time. And then I latched onto this specialization, and the more I realized that how complicated this area is, and how misunderstood it is, not just by the average person, including families who have a child with a disability or an individual with a disability, but the whole sector, the whole financial sector, has very limited understanding of the complexity involved. Most financial advisors have really no sort of fathomable idea of what the issues are,
For
because they
sure.
don't run into it a lot. And it is really complex to the extent where I believe you have to really dedicate yourself to this wholeheartedly to the grasp of full understanding of it.
Wow.
Mm.
It's interesting you say that. Well, first of all, it's interesting you said, I did this on a lark. I was waiting for you to scream, suckers. But I know what you meant. I know what you meant. But Ron,
Yeah.
have over the time, especially as we talked about on the show, then knowing what you were doing, have we as a disability community, your customers, your clientele, are we getting better? Are we getting more informed?
Well, I'd hope to say that my clients are certainly getting more informed, and I do see what I want to see is more professionals getting involved in this area and
Yes.
appreciating
Yes.
not just the importance or the need, but also the business value. It's occasionally I run into this. Well, that's not, you're doing the right thing, and it's like, well, I feel like I'm doing good for sure, but
Mhm.
um, my son has this. I used to say, and I can still say, he has this habit of like eating every single day, and I can't. No matter how hard I try, he just continues to eat every day, and that costs money. Like this was a bona fide, and not just well, a less a subpar. Business case. It's a very strong business case. There's a real market and a
Yeah.
real business to be built out of this.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, people with disabilities and their supporting family members deserve to be treated as clientele, just like any other client, rather than this idea, well, if you have a client with a disability, well, there's an aspect of a charitable intent, and there isn't. It's
Mhm.
there. I don't see it that way at all. And what professionals don't understand is if you're able to do this, then you're also able to serve people without disabilities. And my contingency of clientele who have nothing to do with disability is still a small contingency of my practice, but bigger than it used to be. And it's like, well, how many financial advisors do you want to deal with if you're parents who have a child on ODSP and need an RDSP? It's like, well, you're not going to have an advisor. And I think it's foolhardy in some respects, at least, to have an advisor who deals with, quote unquote, the other stuff. And then this guy, Ron Malice, just to do like an RDSP as if it's that simple. It isn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm quite passionate about this for sure.
For sure. Danielle, the importance today of people knowing their rights, especially regarding the disability community. What do you think of that?
Oh, I think it, I always like to refer to myself as a TAB, a temporarily able-bodied person, because we do know that most of us, if not all of us, are going to end up with some kind of disability over time. And, we need to know where we stand today, whether or not we have a disability. And when Ron was talking about, the inclusion of this as a business case, he's absolutely right. I mean, Ron, you know that when you include people, the business only grows. So, if we can convince the government that by including more and more people with disabilities, by protecting the rights of people who have disabilities, we're protecting everybody's rights. Everybody needs to have this, because they say that the freedom of no one is safe unless the freedom of everyone is safe. And that may be a saying, but it's also true. And if we aren't alert to the fact that we are losing rights in our society, we're going to be in big trouble. So often, and especially people my age, and I'm in my 70s, we thought things were just going to get better and better and better, and there would be more and more rights and more freedom. That's just wrong. And as we've seen, particularly in our neighbors to the south, there's no reason to believe that. You lose rights as easily as you gain them, but you don't lose them if you're vigilant. And they say, the price of freedom is vigilance. And I think that the disability community, like all of us, needs to know, what are the rights I have now, and what are the rights that are being threatened, and what can I do about it? How do I effectively complain if I see my rights being threatened? To whom do I address my complaint? And, can we get organized? And I think that's really, Ron is working with creatures of government in many ways, the different plans. And sometimes they work great and sometimes not so great. And sometimes people find that their eligibility is questioned. And they need to stand up and say, well, why? What is it? I remember Kelly talking with you about the government coming back and questioning, are you still blind?
The disability tax credit stuff.
Right.
Because they do that once in a while, and it's awful. Guys, I'm going to get you to stop on this stuff because I know it's the passion, and it really is, and that's what the heck you were brought on the show for. And it still shows today, 8.5 years later. I want a moment, and I was thinking of when we did the promo where we all did this TV promo. That's where I think we coined Mr. Money. But I'm looking for any particular fond memory. I'll start with you, Ron. If you can give me a quick one that comes off the top of your head from working on the show.
Jeez, I don't know. It's all kind of...
It was never fond, eh? It's all a blur. It's all a blur. It's all
You know what? I just remember... I remember a lot of laughing. I remember laughing a lot, and I remember... It's like...
For serious subjects.
You watch a lot of business news... interviews, and they're all very serious and and I predict and this and that, and here's what's going on, and currency exchange, and it a lot, unless you come with it with some sort of some financial literacy. It's really hard to understand, and I believe in educating, consultative educational approach and helping people better understand this stuff so that they can make more informed decisions. And to do that, you have to be accessible. And in all kinds of ways. And so part of it is it also have to be engaging, and it was fun. And when I eventually loosened up a bit and talked more, shoot from the hip, we had lots of laughs and lots of ribbing going back and forth. And I do remember bringing my son one day. Yeah, and he refused to come in. You invited him. He's like, no way.
I remember that.
He's still, he now works for me, actually.
Yeah.
He works for me, and there is still no way I could drag him in here yeah.
That's beautiful, though. Danielle, in closing,
I'm gonna miss it.
It was wonderful. And Danielle, yourself, real quick.
You know what I remember is the kindness, how kind everybody at AMI is to one another. And, the ribbing and the laughing, absolutely. But an unfailing sense that people are there for one another. And, I've made a few bloops in my in my days with AMI, thinking, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that. Or, and nobody ever yelled at me. Everybody was very understanding, and I just felt so welcome. And for me, that's wonderful. People have great respect for one another, and just the camaraderie is very special.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been so great.
It was a
It really has.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really has.
I was going to say Ron Mellis and Danielle McLaughlin will be forever staples of the show. Thank you both for coming on to celebrate with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Really great conversation there. A lot of fun. And it's so amazing when we get people, especially from the past. And it's funny how the serious time of Mondays, Desreen, turned very funny. A lot of time laughing, no matter how heavy the subjects were. But we got to the points. Thank you.
Yeah. So many great memories.
And due to the fact that today's been a rough second last show, we've had some technical issues throughout the program, from me to throwing off our timing, everyone. So we don't have Mary Mammoliti with us for her last segment. Fedora's off to Mary for everything she's done for us on the program. It has always been wonderful to have her, and we're sorry that we don't get the chance to say an official goodbye as well as talk a little more food with her on the show. Nazreen, we're going into our vault, though, and pulling up something from the archives.
Yeah. Kathy Austin is a multidisciplinary artist, a writer, a dancer, a visual artist, filmmaker, and now she's exploring soundscapes and music production in the National Access Arts Center's music practicum. NAC is a hub that offers artists unfettered access to the creative process, and Kathy was here with us to talk about her multisensory approach to the arts and her current work in the music program. That was a fun conversation.
Kathy M. Austin is a multidisciplinary artist, a writer, a dancer, visual artist, filmmaker, and now she's exploring soundscapes and music production in the National Access Arts Center's music practicum. NAC is a hub that offers artists unfettered access to the creative process, and Kathy's here to talk about her multisensory approach or multidisciplinary approach to art and her current work in the music program. So, Kathy, it's nice to have you on, and we want to talk all about your art. But first, can we throw back in time to a story we heard about? Years ago, a professor apologized to you for, quote, ruining your innate drawing ability. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened, that story, and how that affected your early relationship to art?
So it was a drawing class, and he had it was his first teaching thing out of university, and he had the assignment and everything up on a opaque projector, and I couldn't see it. So afterwards, because I didn't understand what the assignment was, and I went up and I said, "Oh, by the way, I'm legally blind, and could you just let me look at this stuff up close, and then I could do this." he was pretty scared about that whole thing. And so he spent the rest of the time trying to get me to draw like the sighted people. And I wanted the credits and the grades, so I did it. And then he called me into his office and said, "Oh my God, I ruined, should have let you draw the way you wanted to do." And I thought I couldn't get it back. But in 2001, I spent about 18 months doing a drawing diary. So I would draw something every day. And yeah, I got it back. I'm good.
Wow. I love that. And that would have stopped a lot of people cold, such as myself. I recently went back to, drawing, even though for years I didn't think I was good enough. And it just, because a lot of people made me feel that way. So the fact that years later you spent 18 months keeping a drawing diary to rebuild that confidence. Can you tell us about the moment you decided to pick it back up and what that first page felt like?
I don't remember what was on the first page, but it was a friend of mine that I had made a piece of art where I had drawn a whole bunch of zebras, and I told her that story, and she said, "Well, you can get it back." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." And I decided, I think when I started that, to just not worry about how other people drew and to just draw it my way.
And I wanted to know, what is a drawing diary look like? I'm really curious because I've never heard of it before.
Oh, well, I've done a lot of what I call specialized journals over the years. Like in 2004, I did, what I call my smelly journal. So every day I just wrote about smells, but it's hard to describe smells because we smell using one side of our brain and language is on the other. So it's kind of hard to put those together, but I like the challenge of that. Yeah.
Well, what was it like to, because you talked about it here, people were telling you to make art the sighted way. That wasn't working out clearly. So what was it like to let go of those expectations and embrace your own style, your own inner creativity?
It's very freeing. And it took me quite a while to realize I never liked a still life. I hated doing still lifes in school. And I didn't really understand why at that point, but I rather draw from my imagination. I don't want to draw things out in the world because, I've had people say to me, "I really wish you would make art that's the way you see," but I'm thinking, oh, that'd be so boring. I know they're trying to understand how I see, but that's, but
that doesn't even have to be the project for you.
Yeah.
At this point in my life, I don't care what other people think. I'm not going to do things for other people. I'm going to do what I like.
And what did that teach you, the drawing diary? What did it teach you? Not just about art, but really about yourself.
I think that, it was good, to build up my self-esteem and appreciate the way I draw things. That it's good enough. Like, as you were saying, feeling that your drawing is not good enough. And I think that's what the class made me feel, that if he was trying to change me, then that meant something was wrong with the way I was doing it before. And there isn't. Yeah.
And we mentioned,
it is fine the way I'm doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've mentioned that you're a multidisciplinary artist. There's a lot going on with the music and the filmmaking, and
there is. My life is a tornado.
I love it.
I love that slogan for your life. But you're playing in the sound space now at NAC, and that's music production, soundscapes. What is drawing you to audio?
Well, for the song lyrics part, which is not what you asked, but I will get to that. So I worked in a nursing home in the 1980s, and one of my charges was a psychic woman. We'll call her Mrs. G. And she had a premonition that I would write a song. And I was like, what? And I was writing novels and things like that then. But I've been trying to make her premonition come true. And we're finally at the point, that now I'm writing song lyrics. And I've, for a long time, I've had an interest in making music from like field recordings and just weird sounds. And that's what I'm hoping to do with Blindsville.
Yeah, and that's a new track right now and that you've been working on, but it isn't finished, but the lyrics are.
The lyrics are finished, yeah.
So would you give us a little spoken word performance of
Of course. I'd be happy to. Blindsville. In Blindsville, I don't have to guess who people are, and if I get it wrong, no one gets mad. When I say I ran into Denise, it means I crashed into her. I don't touch other blind folks to indicate I'm behind them. I tell them I'm there. I live in Blindsville. Life is a thrill. No steps to fall down. No looking like a clumsy clown. All pathways stay clear. Nothing deadly to fear. Food packages open easily. Everything is in large print. Movies and TV have audio description. Transit goes everywhere and runs frequently. No glass doors to run into. Stages and buildings don't have blind traps. I live in Blindsville. Life is a thrill. No steps to fall down. No looking like a clumsy clown. All pathways stay clear. Nothing deadly to fear. Chairs are always pushed in. Doors are never halfway, either closed or fully opened. No throw rugs to throw me. My clothes have tags, so I know which way to put on my pants. No revolving doors, no escalators, no cafeterias or buffets.
I love that. I can't wait to
thank
hear
you.
the finished product.
Yup. I'm looking forward to my invitation to Blindsville.
I think we all want to live there. We want to live there.
Kathy, I've went through a similar situation where I've said that a lot of people made me feel like I'm doing something wrong, like picking up, painting and drawing. I've loved doing that when I was young, and I had to stop because so many people around me were telling me, oh, like, this is the wrong way. You're not doing it well. You're not doing it right. So what would you say to someone listening who's either been told they're doing something the wrong way, or who's grown up never seeing someone like them doing the thing that they love and has quietly assumed it's just not for them?
I would hope that if they really want to do it, that they would just go ahead and do it despite what people say. And for those who have told you that it wasn't right or it wasn't good, perhaps you can say to them, well, you do it, and then I'll tell you if I think it's any good. I would really like to see people, be able to do what they want to do and hopefully not feel judged by so many other people.
And I loved how you stuck with it, like doing the drawing diary. That really kept you going. And that
it was a good exercise to rebuild my confidence. Yeah.
Love that.
Well, Kathy, it was lovely to have this chat with you and to hear Blindsville. All the best to you and all the projects that you're up to.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
This was wonderful.
Really great conversation with Kathy. I'm sorry I had missed that conversation, but Nazreen Rumya covering that off for us a couple of weeks ago here on the program. Really great. And that's it for us today. Nazreen, we're saying bye for the second last time. We will do this tomorrow in a different fashion, different way, as we salute Kelly and Company And thank you for being with us, the company out there, for so long and giving us your time. The grand finale on our next show, as we pull out all the stops, the original show team will come together, ladies and gentlemen. We grab from the archives to remember the good times of Kelly and Company. And we'll tell you a little bit about what we're up to next. And we'll have a full hour to send Kelly and Company off on our Friday show. Please join us for our final episode. Fedora's off to you.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.